When the world goes to hell and the dead start walking, everyone becomes an armchair survival expert. Some people swear by urban bunkers, others believe in forest cabins, and a few dream of sailing the open ocean. But there's always that one confident voice in every doomsday forum saying, just head for the mountains. It sounds so noble, like some primal return to nature, a rugged escape from the chaos of civilization. The air is clean, the views are stunning, and best of all, zombies can't climb. Right? Well, not exactly. Before you strap on your hiking boots and declare yourself king of the peaks, let's break down what really happens when your apocalypse plan involves high-altitude living, and why the mountains might save you, or just kill you slower. First, let's admit something. The idea of surviving on a mountaintop has cinematic charm. Movies have been selling us this fantasy for decades. You know the scene. Rugged survivors trudging through misty valleys, snow-capped peaks in the distance, carrying crossbows and hope. They find an old ranger station, patch the roof with a tarp, and watch the sunset over a world gone mad. It's poetic, peaceful, maybe even spiritual. But let's strip away the Hollywood filter and talk logistics. Because while the mountain might be a fortress, it's also nature's most elegant form of punishment. Let's start with the good news. Mountains are, without question, one of the most naturally defensible terrains you could hope for. Zombies, bless their decomposing little hearts, are not exactly known for their agility. Picture one of them trying to navigate a narrow, rocky trail. Every step is a twisted ankle waiting to happen. Every loose stone is an invitation to tumble into the abyss. Even if they somehow manage to climb, they'll do it slowly, noisily, and probably missing a few limbs by the time they reach your doorstep. Congratulations, you've just turned gravity into your best defense mechanism. The same goes for hostile humans. The apocalypse might bring out the worst in people, and the last thing you need is a band of desperate scavengers showing up at your door. Lucky for you, the mountain doesn't like visitors. There are only so many trails, and each one could be blocked with a few strategically placed logs, rocks, or, if you're feeling old school, a good old-fashioned booby trap. Up here, geography does half the security work. You just have to make sure you're standing on the right side of the slope. Another perk, population density, or rather, the glorious lack of it. When a virus breaks out, cities turn into instant feeding grounds. Suburbs aren't much better, but up in the mountains, there's barely anyone to infect in the first place. That means when chaos hits, you're not immediately surrounded by screaming crowds or bloodstained commuters. You might actually have a few days, maybe even weeks, before a single groan echoes through your valley. It's like getting a head start in the world's worst marathon. Sure, fewer neighbors means fewer people to team up with, but it also means fewer people trying to eat your face. A fair trade. Then there's the view, arguably the apocalypse's most underrated luxury. From a high ridge, you can see for miles. Whether it's a horde wandering below or another survivor waving a white flag, you'll spot trouble long before it arrives. Mountains turn you into a living satellite, an elevated observer with the tactical advantage of perspective. A zombie can't sneak up on you when you can see it from half a valley away. And unlike the city, where rooftops leave you exposed and cornered, up here the rocks, trees, and shadows become your camouflage. You could be watching the world, and the world would have no idea. And let's not forget nature's pantry. The mountain might look harsh, but it provides, if you're willing to work for it. Fresh water trickles down from clear alpine streams. Fish dart in cold pools, deer graze in the lower valleys, and if you're patient and lucky, you might even snare a rabbit or two. Add in berries, nuts, and the occasional edible plant, and you've got yourself a menu that doesn't involve expired canned beans. You can chop wood for heat, build stone walls for defense, and harness the mountain itself as a resource. Everything you need is out there, waiting for the stubborn and the strong. And speaking of resources, let's talk power. Even when the grid dies, the mountains still hum with energy. Fast-moving streams can be tapped for micro-hydroelectric setups. Wind funnels through ridges, perfect for turbines. And up here, closer to the sun, solar panels finally reach their full potential. Imagine running lights, radios, or even a freezer off renewable energy while the rest of humanity fights over dead car batteries. You're not just surviving. You're thriving like an eco-conscious hermit with a vengeance. In a world of noise and chaos, your camp runs on silence and sunlight. It's poetic. It's sustainable. It's a little smug, honestly, but in the best way. Now, let's pause the mountain daydream and talk about the part most people forget, the cons. Because while the high ground gives you safety, it also gives you frostbite, starvation, and a new appreciation for central heating. The mountains don't care about your survival fantasy. They're ancient, indifferent, and cruelly efficient at reminding you how small you are. The first and most obvious enemy? The cold. Nights in the mountains drop faster than your hope after a week without coffee. 1 minute you're sitting by a crackling fire feeling like a wilderness pro, and the next your fingers are too numb to strike a match. Hypothermia isn't dramatic. It's quiet, sneaky, and relentless. It creeps in while you're shivering, dulls your mind, and before you know it, the only thing you're surviving is your own bad planning. Without proper insulation, heat, and clothing, the mountain doesn't just challenge you, it kills you politely. Then there's the problem of distance. Up here, you're far from everything, including help. The nearest store, gas station, or abandoned town might be miles away, and that's assuming the roads haven't collapsed or frozen over. Every trip for supplies becomes a high-risk expedition. You could walk for hours through snow or rain, only to find the shelves already looted. And if you're unlucky enough to twist an ankle or run into trouble, there's number 911 to call. Your phone is just a cold, expensive brick. You can yell all you want, but the mountain doesn't echo sympathy. And don't even get me started on food scarcity in winter. Hunting becomes a game of chance, and the odds aren't in your favor. Animals migrate, hibernate, or vanish altogether. The forest goes silent, the rivers freeze, and your traps collect more frost than dinner. Foraging? Forget it. Every edible plant is buried under ice. Farming? The soil up here is about as fertile as a parking lot. Unless you've prepped and stored months' worth of food, you'll be staring at your dwindling supplies wondering if tree bark is technically chewable fiber. Isolation also has a psychological cost. In the city, at least you can pretend you're not alone. Up here, silence becomes a living thing. No chatter, no footsteps, just wind and the occasional distant howl reminding you that the food chain didn't end with zombies. And if something goes wrong, say you get injured, or your shelter collapses, or a bear decides to inspect your pantry, you're on your own. No one's coming. That realization hits hard around night 3, when the fire dies down and you realize the nearest human being might be several valleys away. And that's before we even mention the wildlife. Because while zombies might not climb mountains easily, bears definitely do. So do wolves, cougars, and various creatures that have been surviving without canned goods long before you showed up. Leave your food unsecured and congratulations. You've just opened a 5-star restaurant for predators. It's a humbling moment when you realize your carefully fortified cabin means nothing to a 300-pound bear that can smell a protein bar through a wall. The terrain itself is another enemy. Every step on a steep slope burns calories and saps strength. You're constantly climbing, hauling, and balancing, often while carrying gear or firewood. It's a full-body workout, except there's no water break and no one clapping for you at the end. Thin air means less oxygen, so your body works overtime just to stay upright. Headaches, dizziness, altitude sickness, they all pile up. The mountain doesn't need zombies to kill you. It just waits for you to make one wrong move. So after weighing all that, what's the verdict? The mountains are both heaven and hell. A sanctuary and a trap. They're the best possible short-term refuge and one of the hardest long-term homes. In the first chaotic months of an outbreak, heading uphill might be the smartest move you can make. You'll gain distance, perspective, and precious time while the world below devours itself. The mountains give you room to breathe, to plan, and to adapt. But staying there forever? That's a different kind of survival. One that demands grit, skill, and respect for forces that don't care about your apocalypse plan. If you know what you're doing, if you can build shelter, manage food, and keep warm, the mountain can reward you. It can even feel like home. But if you underestimate it, it'll chew you up and scatter your bones like any other careless wanderer. Nature doesn't play favorites. It only tests who deserves to stay. So yes, mountains are good in a zombie apocalypse, if you're good enough for them. They don't forgive mistakes, they don't give second chances, and they definitely don't care about your Wi-Fi signal. But for those who can adapt, who understand that survival isn't about comfort but endurance, the mountain offers something the rest of the world has lost: quiet, clarity, and the space to remember what it means to live. Just bring extra socks. Seriously, you can survive zombies but not frostbite.